Here we will see sleep method in thread synchronization. The thread that is executing currently can be paused or temporarily suspended for a specified amount of time using sleep method. The amount of time must be specified in milliseconds and passed as a parameter to the thread that we are trying to suspend. Or we can use time span property, in which there is a privilege to specify the time in hours, minutes and seconds, so that the thread can be paused for a longer time as well as per our need and not just for milliseconds. General syntax for defining a sleep method with specified number of time is sleep with parameter integer 32, which suspends the current thread for the specified number of milliseconds. If the value of the millisecond timeout argument is 0, the thread gives the remainder of its time slice to any other thread of equal priority that is ready to run. And if there are no other threads of equal priority that are ready to run, execution of the current thread is not suspended. For example, thread.sleep with 10,000 milliseconds. Exception that is generated with sleep method is argument out of range exception, which is generated when the timeout value is negative or is not equal to infinite. The syntax for defining the sleep method with time span is sleep with time span, which suspends the current thread for the specified amount of time. If the value of the timeout argument is 0, the thread gives the remainder of its time slice to any thread of equal priority that is ready to run. And if there are no other threads of equal priority that are ready to run, execution of the current thread is not suspended. For example, time span interval equal to new time span with 002, that is hours is 0, minute is 0 and second is 2. And if we give thread.sleep interval, it will suspend the thread for 2 seconds. The exceptions that are generated with sleep timespan method is argument out of range exception, which will be generated if the value of timeout is negative and is not equal to infinite in milliseconds or is greater than max value in millisecond. Now we will see how thread sleep method works. Whenever there is a need to pause the execution of a thread so that other thread can take over and start execution, we make the use of method called sleep. The amount of time a thread needs to be paused can be specified in either millisecond and passed as a parameter to sleep method, or it can be specified in hours, minutes, seconds using timespan property. Argument out of range exception is thrown by the sleep method if the time in millisecond passed as a parameter to it is negative, and argument out of range exception is thrown by the sleep method if the time passed as a parameter to timespan property is negative. If the time in millisecond passed as a parameter to the sleep method is 0, then the other thread of the same priority which is ready to run starts execution, and if the time passed as a parameter to the timespan property is 0, then other thread of the same priority which is ready to run starts execution.